and also talk with the lovely Arevia, who does a lot of streaming about disability and gaming, and in a very special turn of events,
Oh my god!
we are in the same room. This has never happened before in the history of me doing this. Yeah, so this is exciting new first, and hopefully it'll be fun. And I will try to draw Revia, so you will be doing most of the talking.
Yes, I will do most of the talking. Trying at least.
No. All we can do is try.
Yeah, and I've been streaming for way too long now that I'm used to just talking to the other all of the time.
Talk into the other, yeah.
There we go.
Ether.
Ether. Oh God, English. No.
Yeah. So
what is it?
This seems like a good position for the art.
Yeah.
My God, says the comments. Oh my. Oh my God. Two legends together.
Oh yeah.
Your responsibility will be also doing the chat, because I will hopefully try to, or not hopefully try, I will try to draw you and hopefully manage to draw you. That's the difficult part.
I hope sound is okay. I think so.
Mm-hmm. Is the sound okay? Where's disability drawing?
It will come.
Yeah, we will. We haven't started yet.
Sound is good. Good.
Sound is good. And first, before we start, do you have a color you want me to use? Because I thought I'd make an ink. And I have a slight suspicion that I know which color you will choose. I don't know why, but
yeah, it might be pink.
Oh no,
no!
I don't have the pink.
No.
I have the best pink ever in these brushes, but I didn't find.
Oh well, that's okay.
We have some other pinks. We have some more pastel pink.
That's pretty.
But we can't make an ink blot with them. But what we can do is allow you to draw a random squiggly thing.
Okay, just like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like this. Ooh. And that's the basis of everything.
Cool. That's so cool.
Oh.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. All of you. So first of all, could you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone. My name is Arevia, and I'm a disabled and chronically ill content creator from Norway. I do streaming and TikTok and Instagram and all that jazz about accessibility in gaming. Accessibility in gaming means like every way for disabled people to be able to play games easier. So I'm an advocate for that, and it's really, really cool. I have been doing this for, I think it is since 2015, so maybe on 9 years. But I started doing it more like finding my jive to do it like 6 years ago, I think it is. So yeah, that is me. Do a lot of consultant work, do a lot of like educational TikToks, and do crazy streams.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about your streams? Because you're not primarily a gaming streamer, or?
Well, now I am primarily a gaming streamer. I am. I normally, before, I did a lot of makeup, and I've done some charity work and stuff like that. That's actually how we met. We met through, I reached out to you for a charity I wanted to raise money for able gamers for some years ago. And I asked you if you could donate some of your ink monsters to that charity, and you said yes.
Yes.
That is how we got to know each other. And yeah, my stream normally now is because what I do, which might be different from other streams, is that I play a lot of my games with my feet. So the thing is that I am born with something called cerebral palsy and arthritis, and I have a lot of problems with my hands. So just gaming a lot can be quite hard for me. So I stream and play games with my feet, which is for some people really, really weird because I have a camera on my feet and I show my feet.
That sounds like a very weird fetish part of the internet, but it's not.
No, I do think those people come by sometimes. I had one some streams ago coming by and was like really eager on that. On my community just like shut him down and go into the corner of shame, or no, we shouldn't kink shame, but go into the corner and sit and be quiet. You're allowed to be here because what can I do? I show my feet online. Of course, people are going to come and be creep. So that's just how it is.
That is a weird sentence to say. I show my feet online, so of course people are going to come and be creeps.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be said.
No.
But
the internet do be internet though.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit that, and it's sort of like, to be honest, like I sort of sometimes maybe invite people a bit in on it because I actually I promote the fact that I stream with my feet.
Would you say that you do foot tease?
I have on my socks. That's true. I do have on my socks. That is true. I sort of like I use it as sort of like a hook for people to come by my stream.
We will go off this topic soon. I just have to confirm there will not be a OnlyFans with sockless gaming.
I met a stream friend of mine like some weeks ago, and we talked about how has been quite hard lately to survive of content creating in general, and they were just like, but you have the perfect content. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm never going to talk down on SW workers. I'm never going to talk down on them. But
so SW work is work as well, and solidarity.
Solidarity, 100%. People be allowed to do what they want to do. I just don't want to do it.
No, not even feet work.
No.
But let's jump off this topic and describe a bit more about what you do on your streams.
I promote accessibility and I try to show people that you can play games even if you have a disability. Also, I talk a lot about things being able to just do things for comfort. So I have with me some of the controller. I thought I could show people.
I'd love that.
Let me see. So,
can we not talk about footsies? Yes, the footsies talk is over right now.
So I stream using tools like this, which is an Xbox adaptive controller. And the reason why I think it's important to show it off is that a lot of the times when I stream, people come by my stream and they were just like, say I played Palia the other day and somebody came by and watched something, I don't remember what it was, but me showing that I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. I'm allowing myself to sort of show that I have disabilities and that I'm okay with it, thus that other people in my community feels free to also do the same. I'm an avid worker, avid promoter of easy mode. I think whatever reasons for using accessibility, whatever reasons for doing things should be you shouldn't actually need a reason other than I want to use accessibility. Normal terms, when we come to disability rights, we often are like, oh, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that because you're taking away resources for other people that are disabled. Say it can be sometimes if you use a disabled toilet, you can stop other people who actually need it to using it, stuff like that. But in gaming, those aren't the resources. Like there isn't a resource you can. What do you call it? Like when you use too much of it and it stops.
This isn't the word you're looking for, but it's not a perishable
Yes,
resource.
yes,
It is. It has no extra. No extra cost
Yeah.
to doing it
Yeah.
necessarily.
And the same thing with like, but in gaming, if people start using it also just for comfort, just for fun, or just because they want to, that is just promoting it. And in the end, it ends up with people wanting to use it more and people wanting actually to use things like that more. And it starts being more popular, which I think is really, really cool. So I am just like, yeah, saying go for it, trying to show a face for like, you can use easy mode, you can use big text, you can use whatever it needs for be comfortable for you. So yeah.
So this is probably an argument you've had way too many times.
Yeah.
But the standard reply against easy mode is yes, but Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Or yes, but Elden Ring.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But what about from software? Yeah.
And if I may just put on a defense for from software, there is that for them fine-tuning the difficulty to this level where a good player will still bash their head against the wall again and again and again and again, is a part of the mood of those games.
Yeah.
And I know with myself that if I had the possibility to play Bloodborne with easy mode, I would have gotten past Father Gascoigne by now. But I haven't, and there is something in the sanctity of this being an achievement, no matter who you are, and this fact that I have completed a couple of the Souls games, Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2, but Elden Ring, I'm stuck on the final boss. Bloodborne, I'm stuck on Father Gascoigne. Dark Souls, I'm stuck on the frame rate area.
Yeah. I think
which is another thing, but it is a part of the artistic expression.
Yeah. So often when I work with companies, so I work with game companies to consult them in accessibility, and I often say to them like, what are your like pillars of your game? What is like, if you can describe your game in 3 words, what is it? And from software games, one of them are difficulty. And then it's just like, okay, so maybe then a difficulty setting, so like easy mode, because no game can be 100% accessible. That is impossible, because like then you need to have some sort of problems to solve, and that is just how it is. So I just say, well, that is okay if they don't want to have easy mode. I actually don't care about that. But the critique I have for like from software, even though they are really, really good games, is that they aren't accessible in other ways. Like, what about text size? What about HUD size? What about all these other things?
Yes, because that is more problematic.
Because like being difficult are their value. They're the core value. They are their like thing that they want to be. And then I'm just like, let them be that. If hard is what I want to be it. But being hard because you can't read what is saying on the screen is not being hard. That's being impossible. So like, it's how you're being hard. It's when is hard unfair, and when it's like, because I can't read the screen, then it's unfair. So it's the things like that. I think it's cool things we can still add to from software games that made them more accessible, which is not easy mode.
Yeah, and personally, my biggest accessibility problem with from software games is, as a parent, there's no pause button.
Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah. It is.
But that is more a part of it than the text size. The text size is a more easier problem to fix accessibility when it comes to controllers and remapping and all of that stuff is a lot more basic to fix, and it doesn't infringe on their core values.
Yeah, and that's also like, I think it's at some point we need to maybe not stop, but it's no reason to have the same sort of conversation with companies who have just blankly said we don't want to do this. And it's just like, well, then don't do it. So yeah.
So this is one of the first times I'm drawing a portrait on a live and showing the process as I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to highlight the comment saying Bruce Willis. And I'm okay with that. Hopefully we will un-McLean you. But it's a very grim kind of McLean start to this.
I got the best worst hate comment the other day on TikTok.
Yeah.
I have one of my most viewed TikTok is me showing off the access controller, and on that TikTok I'm wearing glasses, and it's quite small glasses, and I have a big face. That is just how it is, and I don't have anything against it, but I know that isn't necessarily what everybody find attractive. And somebody comment on my comment section, because it was like, if you have used that amount of brain power they used for that comment to the common good, they would like change the world, because they write, good TikTok, informative, but girl, why do you look like? And then the emote of like the Easter Island statue and glasses. And I was just like, this is so mean. It's so true. and like they know. They saw me and were like, yeah, I'm going to go for this one. And I was impressed.
Yeah. A lot of effort into trolling.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So yeah, it is being on the line, on the line actually.
On the line,
on
actually.
the line, yeah, for too many years. I'm too old to care.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a little bit about how that Xbox disability controller or accessibility controller works? It's not a disability controller, because then it would do, you press it and then your legs don't work.
It doesn't work. If you press this, the game just stops working. It's the ultimate pause button. So this is a controller in itself. You can see the big buttons, but it also is a hub. I'm gonna show the camera. So as long as you have a 3.5 millimeter jack, you can add things into it. So when you've seen, we talked about Elden Ring, you have seen people say like, oh, I mastered Elden Ring with like playing it on bananas, or I played it on like bongo drums or whatever.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah, yes. To be able to do things like that. So as long as you have something that reacts on and off into a 3.5 millimeter jack, you can use something like this. So like these things are not only for disabled people, also for people who just wanted to be creative. So I have, which looks so bad right now, but yeah, the setup of all the things there. So these are the cables you need, and I just have a bunch of buttons. Way too many wires, but it's just buttons that is on the floor, and I play with them. And in the Xbox system, there is an app that makes, because everybody knows if you add two controllers to the same system, they will think it's player 1 and player 2.
Mm-hmm.
But in Xbox and in PC, you just go in and say, no, this is for co-op. So then, no, this is co-pilot. So then you can have as many things connected together and play it as one thing. So that is really, really cool. I also have things for the PlayStation, Nintendo. They look quite the same though, but this looks like a UFO. It's really, really weird, but
yeah, that one is fancy.
Yeah.
It's a flower.
It's a flower, but it works. It's the same. This is the buttons in themselves, but also you have hubs here. So it's really, really cool. You just put it on. I'm not going to put it on now because I have my fiance is in the other room and he's actually playing Elden Ring. And if I put this on,
please put it on.
We can start like
You will
actually
never become
hopping.
the Elden Lord.
Yeah, just start hopping around for him. He's going to just hear like a cry from the other room going, no. So yeah, it had happened before that I was like recording something and I needed it to turn on to show the light. And then I heard like, huh? From the other room. And that was him just going, what is happening? So that's cool. Yeah.
Mm. And your work with game companies to make games more accessible. Can you sort of tell me how
that
works and how you got into it? The streaming came first, and then companies started contacting you?
No, so the streaming came first, and then I started streaming because I felt lonely, as many disabled people sadly do if you're having problems leaving your house.
So just at this early stage, can we list your disability so people know what we're talking about? Because especially you don't have visible disabilities, and while that has its pluses, it is also kind of hard in some senses.
It is. So I'm born with something called cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a brain injury you can get while the first year of your life. I got it while being birthed. Sounds so bad. But I was stuck. And due to that, they couldn't get me out quick enough. And my brain lost oxygen, which made it so that I got a small little brain injury called cerebral palsy. I have, as you guys can see, quite a mild case because I don't have the typical like other visible factors that a lot of people with cerebral palsy have. But since I grew up then in the 90s, I was allowed to be part of an experiment, which was really, really good because it made my body quite usable, and I really, 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 and I'm happy for that because they told me I most likely had to write my rest of my life with my left hand and that I couldn't run, but due to being so well taken care of the first 2 years, I am able to do that. But they told my mom and dad to not tell me that I had a brain injury. So I grew up feeling different, understanding that I was different, but not having any reasons to understand it. Luckily, my mom went against what the doctors wanted after a while, but that just made it so I grew up not understanding why I felt like I felt. And I could never do as everybody else. So I found solace in gaming. I found empowerment. I found like alive. So imagine people, like how much you have to be tested and like competing, and like there are standards you need to meet as a kid on school. But if you look like me, people think then you should fall into a category. But that was a category that is made up for me to never be able to reach. So for me, like gaming has been a way of sort of be a place where I'm allowed to be myself just the way I am with my brain injury and everything. So, but I didn't when I started streaming. So, and then I have arthritis. I got that in my 20s, and due to medical abuse, I have also PTSD. And then I have a bunch of other things, but they don't affect my gaming in the sense of that they affect other things in my life, but not my gaming. So when I started streaming around being 25 or something like that, at 20 something, I didn't talk about it in the start. I just streamed games that I streamed from my childhood, and it was really, really fun. I did a lot of retro gaming, and then all of a sudden, one day I couldn't continue streaming because the pain in my arms, and I started crying live. I think that was the first time I properly cried. And then on stream, and then people were like, why are you crying? And I was just like, I'm in just too much pain to be able to continue doing anything. What can I do? And then my chat was like filled up with people saying, "Oh my God, I know what you're dealing with. I have like felt this before. I know what this is." Everything like that. And it ended up being a way for me to understanding, hey, we should talk more about this because it is actually quite normal to have problem with these things. And that is when I started talking about it. So it was like 2-3 years ago, I started tweeting about it. And then I saw a lot of people saying, hey, I feel the same, but I've never understood that this is what I felt. So I ended up with then companies have reached out to me, and I do a lot of things like either I just test games. So I get games before they are released and before like when they're still in alpha and stuff like that. And I get to test them. I play with them and I just test. And then I tell them what I feel, how does this work, what does not work, what are you missing? I also do sort of webinars where I go to them and go like, hey, this and this and this. This is how you do this, and this is when you have to think about this. And then also in general, just promoting games that are accessible. So say if there is a game that came out like Prince of Persia came out, they had a quite focus on cognitive accessibility. And then they said like, hey, can you play it?
Prince of Persia
Lost Crown.
Lost Crown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm. So yeah, that is what it is. So
are you allowed to tell me a little bit about some of the games you've consulted on, or are they all under NDAs?
Yeah, all are under NDAs. So yeah, if anybody is curious about like how I do it, I often do it on stream as well. So whenever I get a new game, if somebody in chat asks, I go through the process. What I actually can talk about, I can talk about because I was at Ireland a Gamer Fest 1 or 2 weeks ago, and there I met a bunch of students, and I asked them if they wanted to, because they had their games for school there, which I made in uni, and I was like, do you want me to do a live consultation right now? Should I like just show you guys what I do, what I would say if you were a professional? And they all of them went like, yes, please. So I sat down, and what I often do is I just comment on things. I open the game and I like, okay, where do we get say like information about what we can see in the accessibility in this game? So I start the game and I go into the settings and I go through each of one of them and tell them like, this will help this will not help this will help this, and stuff like that. Say like, if there is a game that it forces you to be in first person mode, I will go into that and I will say like, hey, then you have to have things like crosshair, smooth camera motion, a big FOV to help people not get motion shake. Should you put that in an accessibility part of your settings, or should you make a motion sickness part? Because not everybody understands that accessibility is more than just for people who are disabled. Stuff like that. And then I start the game, and then I play the game, and I tell things, because it isn't only settings that can be accessible. Say like Just Dance have dances that you don't need to use your feet. Okay, good. Then they're accessible for people who are in a wheelchair or for other reason cannot stand up. So it's like you go through all of this game and you play it a lot, and then you have like, you just talk about your experience. Consultancy. What do you do? Talk about your experience.
Excellent. And one of the weird things with gaming is that you have these three mammoths, three huge companies that are controlling the console gaming, and one of them two of them makes very inaccessible games, but with good accessibility features often, or are improving very much there. And the last one makes extremely accessible games, but are incredibly poor at accessibility. And yeah, I don't know if I had a question here, but if you can sort of talk a little bit about how the different platforms have different challenges.
Yeah. So am I allowed to say name names?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just I thought it was pretty obvious who I meant.
Yeah, but like it's easier. So like Nintendo does games for children. Like that is Nintendo make games for children that a lot of grown-up enjoy.
And they also, I mean, the Wii was marketed directly at old people's homes.
Yeah, that
and,
as well. Yes.
And
So they look at things as being simple is equal accessibility, and in a lot of cases it is. I have a friend of mine which his most accessible game is Pokemon, because Pokemon you only need to use 2 buttons at the same time, and that is all he is able to do. So nothing is 0% accessible, nothing is 100% accessible, and that's really important to understand. That like when we talk about these things and critique them, it's just like they're not above critique, but none of them are perfect, and none of them doesn't do anything. So in that simplicity of Nintendo, you have a lot of accessibility. Say the extremely well colorful worlds they make, or the fact that they never go into topics that can be triggering. It's an accessibility thing and stuff like that. But yeah, I had this big TikTok that went way too good, where I am in my Princess Peach cosplay critiquing a Princess Peach game because I was frustrated because I opened a game and they lacked some basic things like
and Nintendo are extremely good at making games, and also extremely poor at
adding accessibility
and adding a lot of just features that we take for granted other places.
Yeah, and which is we have things. So we have like a game accessibility Association of Japan just announced that they will be starting this year. So we see changes in Japan, and Japan have some of the most accessible games in other companies. So it is a bit weird that Nintendo isn't following suit, but I hope that will change. But it is sad to see that when you have like games like Sony with God of War or Last of Us or all of these amazing games that was just like it just had everything.
Yeah, but God of War isn't a accessible game, no matter how much accessible thing, because it is a
complicated game.
Technically complicated game. Yeah.
So, and that is the thing also, like no matter who you are and no matter how you are, like you will never be able to make a perfect accessible game. That does not exist. That it's just it's more accessible than others, and that is what we should measure it by. It's like sort of makes quote unquote making the perfect film, making the perfect movie, making the perfect script. It doesn't exist. There will always be people that don't enjoy it, and it's the same thing.
One of the important things might be to actually be aware of who your game works for and who it doesn't, because a lot of the inaccessibility is through ignorance rather than choice or artistic choice.
And no worries, you have no sound because I muted my mic.
Yes.
Yeah, that I know this might be hard for some people to understand, but when you mute your mic, the sound goes away. I find that a hard thing to remember.
Yeah, and I often remember it after I've recorded a long monologue.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Oh,
Mm.
but yeah, we're back.
Excellent. I thought we'd change gears a little bit and talk a little bit about growing up and escaping into gaming and a few of the games you escaped into, because
Yay!
then we can just geek out about games and see.
So growing up, I think I sorry, I don't know if you now maybe know you because you're not that much on Twitter, are you?
No, I'm
You're still not swimming in the cesspool of Twitter.
no. I would if the cesspool of Twitter had ever liked me, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
So I go to the platforms where people reply to me.
Yeah. For some reason Twitter just likes me, and I don't know if that tells something about myself. I don't know, but my Twitter it's so weird because I have like honed my Twitter into only be about accessibility. So my Twitter is always really, really cool. But then I go into the like not my friends, but like For You page of Twitter, and then I go like, what is this? But anyways, I was live on Friday playing games with my friends, playing like Palia, which is an MMO, and while streaming, realized that my favorite game from my childhood will have a remake for the PlayStation 5. And started crying my eyes out because I haven't been able to play that game for years because it strains my hands too much because it's a platformer. It's quite a complicated platformer. It's a Tomba.
Tomba?
Have you played that?
No.
No, PS1. If you ever had the PS1 demo disc, you might have played it because it wasn't that one. But it's like a little dude. It's like I like to go. I now people are going to mad because I call it the better Zelda. And people go like, how dare you? And that comes from someone who hasn't played Zelda though. So I know how to make people angry.
So I have my first experience with Zelda was a Chinese boy moved into my street when I was like 7 or 8, and he had an NES and I had a Commodore 64. So I thought the NES was a useless machine. It wasn't cool like the Commodore 64, and he didn't speak any Norwegian nor English, so we couldn't really communicate. But he came over and played the Commodore 64, and I came over and played various games in a language I didn't understand.
So cool.
And then a month or two after they moved in, lightning struck their house and it burned down, and no one was hurt, but they moved. And that was my only sort of exposure to Nintendo. So I grew up sort of feeling like Mario Brothers was like a crappy Giana Sisters knockoff.
I like that because I didn't grow up with any consoles and like Nintendo consoles. I had handheld ones, but I didn't. I was a PlayStation kid, and the fact is just like growing up as a girl, gaming wasn't promoted to you. It still isn't, but like in the 90s, like nobody thought that a girl could game. What kind of horror do you mean girls aren't allowed to do that? So like I was more playing the games that the neighbor kids got because they were boys and they had games, and I'm not saying that my parents didn't buy me games, because they did. But it was just like, why do you like this? They didn't understand it that much. And then it is, I think, like I started playing, so PS1 was the one I played most on.
If I can tell you my PS1 story as well, because I sort of got into gaming through PC gaming, and then I was at the launch party for the N64 in Bergen, not but at Hulen in Bergen.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I didn't quite understand it, but I sort of got really into gaming when and got interested in the development and all of that stuff when Valve came out with Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
And Half-Life, they did a post-mortem of Half-Life 1 where they talked about a little bit about their inspirations and how Super Mario 64 was a huge inspiration. So that was my first console experience, was that I had to play Super Mario 64 because Valve said so. And then a friend of mine made me play Zelda Ocarina of Time, and I loved it. And then I was here, maybe I should give this PlayStation thing a new try. And I absolutely loved the cover art of Metal Gear Solid. And Yoji Ishikawa is an influence on my art, and he also uses this same brush, and I didn't know that.
Oh, that's cool.
So huge influence from that cover art. So I bought a PlayStation 1 and Metal Gear Solid, and I played it for like half an hour and absolutely hated it. And
of course.
And that was my one and only PlayStation 1 game. And then by PlayStation 2, I got into them.
Yeah, I think because I think I'm quite younger than you.
Yep.
So that I had the thing that I didn't have the possibility to like choose what I was gaming. It was like you get a game for your birthday, you get a game for Christmas, and you just play that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is somewhat maybe a good thing as well, because like I started gaming when I was like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
We had a PC quite early. So because we were lucky, my dad had one at his job and he could take it home. So like I had the possibility, but then I didn't have the money I'd never buy any games. So I was just like in the grace of my bigger sister or my mom and dad to buy me a game.
That was the brilliant thing with having a Commodore 64 and a disk drive.
Yes.
We pirated all the games. We had so many games.
Yes.
It was an incredible amount of games.
Yeah. And all that jazz about that. I think I started playing Spiral a lot as well. And I also ended up, so I wasn't allowed to join. How was it though? I was allowed to join, like we had like these clubs you can join by mail. So it was like the Penny Club and like the PC Club and stuff. And I remember I joined the Penny Club.
Penny Club was the horse club.
The horse club. There was a horse club, for ponies and stuff. So that one I was allowed to do. And like it's so weird also because like it sounds like my parents were strict or something. They were not. They were quite supportive in whatever I did. They're really, really. My parents are good parents. I think in the world of today, a lot of people have grown up with really shitty parents. I had really, really good parents that did the best they could with the resources they had. But like since nothing was marketed towards kids, like towards girls, I sort of didn't realize that there was something called a PC club. Before like years had gone by, that I realized, oh my god, I can actually get mailed to me PC games.
Whoa.
And that was like then one was open up when I started playing like Backpacker and all of that jazz. It was so much fun.
I just realized that one of my early gaming or programming experiences was an accessibility issue that I hadn't realized before, because when I was 8 or before I was 10, 7, 8, 9, I was trying to program my own game, choose your own adventure on the Commodore 64.
Cool.
And I had even a drawing program on it, so I could make art and insert the art
Oh.
into it. And I had made this big explosion for the end, and then I made like an intro screen where you could walk, go south or go west. And the problem was that was the English that I was capable of. I didn't know English, but games had to be in English.
Yeah.
So I just had to end it because I mean, after the choice, I didn't know how to describe the way to the big explosion.
I had to ask my mom playing Pokemon Yellow for the first time. I had to ask my mom because I didn't understand that everybody asked me to go and find a person named Foe. Because I did not understand that they were like, it's not a person, it's the word for enemy. But I've never heard the word. I've heard enemy before, but I was just like so confused playing this game. And it took me like long time before I realized, oh, there is nobody in the universe of Pokemon called Foe.
It could have been a good.
It could have been.
Yeah, I think we should.
So yeah, it's weird. I'm actually watching I can see myself, and that is so weird and so fascinating at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It's gradually getting less Bruce Willis.
But it's so funny because I can see my mom's eyes. So that is it's really, really cool. But I think like growing up, it was really, really nice. And that is also why I started like being friends with a lot of boys when I was a kid, because I was just like, but the boys, they have the secret, they have the games.
Oh yeah.
So I started like being friends with a lot of boys just so I could steal their games and play. Yeah.
That's a good reason.
Yeah. But it's really, really nice though. I was able to get a lot of friends from that.
So I remember the title Backpacker. I never played it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Describe a bit. Can talk a bit about the PC gaming that you got into.
Yeah. And so somebody asked, like, ever played original Crash Bandicoot or Spyro? Yes, 110% yes.
I did play a little bit Spyro on the PlayStation,
Cool.
and I like that. Okay, but it was no Mario 64.
Let's just say to the amount. Yes. I played a lot of it. Backpackers. Do you know what the game actually is, like how it worked?
I'm guessing it's not. There were a lot of games on PC that were kind of puzzle solving.
And then you're in Norway we have the påskelabyrinten every Easter.
Yeah,
it's sort of reminds me of that
I'm
one.
Imagining it was like Myst with a map and crappy graphics.
Yeah. And like I played on my PC. I played a lot of these horse games because like that was what I got. Because in Pennyklubben, after a while they sent it out like these really weird games with horses, and it was so crappy. And like you played upon hours of it. Of course, I was a kid. I played a lot of games from movies. My parents saw that I read books, and then I saw there were games about it, and I bought me that once. So that was okay. And then, of course, En to Tre Spill. I grew up online.
I don't know what that is at all.
Oh, so in Norway, we had... so I was quite young when I started frequenting internet, way too young, like non-supervised internet access. I think I'm lucky, sort of, because I has always been a kind of a wuss as a kid. Like I was really easily scared. So I wasn't one of those kids who just like on purpose went into something that I didn't want to see.
You weren't me.
No. and also I had like massive respect for my mom. So I was so afraid she was going to see it. So I was just like, I can't. What if they see I'm going to access this weird internet place? but I played a lot of 1, 2, 3 spel, 1000 spel, so 1, 2, 3 games or 1001 games, which was like web pages where you can play Java games, and there were like thousands of them to different degrees of success, different degrees of good games, and different degrees of should kids even be allowed to be close to these kinds of games. And yeah.
And I know that a lot of programmers and game creators, game designers that have been sort of big in the 80s retreated to making these kind of educational games once the 3D came in. So, for instance, Ron Gilbert, who developed or wrote and developed Monkey Island and the Maniac Mansion and those things that I grew up with, he made educational games all through the 90s. And I've heard that some of them are decent.
Yeah, I can imagine some of them being decent. I just remember those really, really bad ones. Like, yeah, I just remember those. There were some really, really bad ones. Struggling a bit with my memory. Part of having cerebral palsy for some people get that you get some memory problems. So I don't remember that much from my childhood. I remember sitting by my computer, eating chocolate and playing games. I remember that, but like what games I played is a bit hard. But I think so. I played a lot on the PlayStation, Final Fantasy, and I remember I was not allowed to play Tekken because my mom was that is violent. But then my sister, who's 7 years older than me, bought Tekken, and she's not or wasn't the best gamer. As I've gamed since I was a kid, she was just sometimes you're allowed to come into my room to see me play Tekken because you're together with me, and then play the game when I can't play it. So you're allowed to do that. And that is how we played Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VIII. So she played it. I didn't understand because I was too young to understand what was happening. But she was just like, I don't know how to play Blitzball. I can't make it do. You're a kid.
No one knows how to play Blitzball. That made me drop that game.
Yeah. Still my favorite though, but I think it is because of the memories with my sister. So yeah. I think that is why I ended up going into retro gaming as well, because all of these memories. And I ended up one of the best memories I have from streaming was playing Final Fantasy VII with my community for the first time.
I have a tragic
Final
Fantasy VII story.
Oh.
I played it on the PC.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was for PC.
Yeah, it was for PC, and I loved it. And I got to the final disc, and so some character died.
Yeah,
and it was very dramatic, and it was very sad. And while cleaning up hard drive space, I managed by mistake to delete my save games.
No.
Yes.
Oh no. That's sad.
And I've never touched it again. No. I did try to get into the remake, but which was fun.
It was really, really fun. So yeah. I think Final Fantasy, they were long games though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I
had played over 100 hours because I play games slowly.
Yeah.
Like people say, oh no, this is just 10-hour games, and I'm like 30 hours in, and
what do you mean 10 hours? Yeah. No, I was wondering like what other games I played when I was a kid. But I think like I never ended up in the like WoW generation, even though that was my generation. I never ended up like playing those games.
Never World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And I've never played any MMORPG.
Yes.
Warp, because for me, I can like some co-op gaming, I can like some competitive gaming, but it is a solitary thing. I want to get lost in worlds.
Yeah. And I also think I have some part of me that is a bit like I have some addictive traits.
Oh,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah. So I started playing games like that, and then I was just like, I'm actually not able to stop.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, I uninstalled this. I never actually want to do it again. And still to this day today, like I have some games like I play Palia and stuff, which is a MMO, but I am really strict with only playing it when I am on stream, so that I myself am sure to not be addictive.
Addicted, yeah. No, but that's a good strategy, a very good strategy. I mean, I hopefully am coming out of a long depressive period now because I'm bipolar and I'm getting depression, and sort of one of the worst periods of that depression was, I think it was last month, not being able to stop playing Dragon's Dogma 2. Which is okay when you are single, and but when you're a father of two, maybe you should do other things than be the arisen and slay the dragon. I mean,
yeah, like that is the negative thing with gaming, though. They can provoke some kind of like addiction. I have a podcast with another game accessibility consultant. We talked about it the other day. Like maybe some games should put in possibilities for you to stop them, like the game take the stopping for you. And like because that can both help people that can get addictive or for some reason, and also people with like chronic fatigue and people who maybe shouldn't play for as long because they can get it's too much information at once, and then like sometimes it's hard to do it that yourself, and then you could like put on like a can you help me stop this game can you help me stop playing you.
So one of the interesting things about Nintendo was that they tried to do that on the Wii generation. They had warnings when you've been playing too long.
They did.
And they also talked about the problems of the video game addiction publicly, which while I mean, they do have their gotcha games and the very, very predatory games, but they largely have steered away from the worst of it, except with their mobile gotcha
and like
games.
I have somebody who told me that they really enjoyed playing Animal Crossing because they felt like, okay, now I have a set amount of time, and then it's that much I can do, and then if you don't cheat, of course, there is always a ways around it.
Yeah, and around the GameCube launch of Animal Crossing, they publicly talked about this as a feature to make sure that you couldn't play it too long because they didn't want to make an addictive game. And also, even companies like Blizzard with World of Warcraft have understood to some degree that in the long term, this kind of mobile game thinking where they use language like hunting whales to that is destructive for their own brand, for their audience, as a long-term strategy. Being predatory to your audience is good,
No,
even
good
for bad, evil capitalists.
Yeah. So somebody in chat like asking like, what is disabled though, the drawing? No, I'm disabled. I know I don't look like it, or the stereotypical thought people have of what a disabled person look like. But I have a brain injury called cerebral palsy. I have arthritis and PTSD. I have some other stuff as well, but they are boring. So yeah, it is. I think it is sort of a bit weird how some games are like. I love games, and for me, it was an escapism. But at some point, escapism can also be too much. We know that. So yeah, but at the same time, at some point, I was in Trondheim on a debate on this, and one thing I said was that in all the other ways we have in society, if we start talking about things like that, all the other ways in society, we give humans, say like, this is something you have to do and be precautious when you use it, but you're a grown up and you're allowed to let your world go to hell if that's what you want yourself. And the same legiancy we should give to gamers. Like, we should help them and give possibilities for people to get help. But at some point, it's just like, you're a grown up human being. Yeah.
So my counter argument, my anti-capitalist counter argument to that
Yeah.
is that capitalism as a whole, whether it is in a single society like Norway or globally, will always, it has to have people who are broken
Yeah.
and don't have a job,
Yeah.
and it needs to, in order to keep the prices at the right level, it needs to have to break people regularly, and so it's not really a problem for as long as it doesn't become too many.
Yeah.
And that's what happens whenever politicians talk about inflation. What they're really talking about is we need more people to get unemployed so that the businesses can continue to earn money. I have
the best saying I believe in is that the most punk thing you can do as a 30-year-old woman in this society is to not care about aging.
Yeah.
Because like everything to every woman is to be sold how to look beautiful. And the most like, because I don't look like that now, but I used to be a big ass goth kid and love the punk spirit, even though like I'm quite a like a calm teen. I had the same thought vibes of like being you should stand up for things that are unjust and stuff like that. So that is I still believe in that thing, and it's like every time I look at myself and I try to like pull myself down on like how I look or how I feel, it's just like, nah, I want to be punk, and the most punk thing I can do is to say, fuck you, society, fuck you who want to sell me to look young. When I'm 32, I will always be that. And I will always go one way, and that's nothing I can do about. Age will come for us all. So, yeah.
Excellent. So you talked a little bit about your childhood games. Can you tell me a little bit about your defining games, like the games that defined your taste in gaming, whether it be from the childhood or from now?
Yeah. I think like so the vibe of like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Final Fantasy, and all that. Like I'm a huge single player person, but also I think one thing that I think I really enjoy is indie games. Is something about I feel the freeing that like I love Final Fantasy. I did like a whole subathon with the newest remake now came out. Like I love those games, but it's something artsy fartsy with indie games where people have like these small things. Like I played Videoverse. Videoverse is a game about a 15-year-old boy going into his Game Shark for the first time and like going on Reddit sort of, and just like being the experience of being in a millennial again, but is young and experience the internet for the first time was just like so defining. I played it with my best friend. Final Fantasy VII, playing that on stream. I think I don't know what it is, but it's something about making a single player game, but making it a community that is just so powerful with streaming. And I think those are the games that I remember the most. It's Final Fantasy VII, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and then you have indie games like Videoverse, stuff like that.
Let's continue on the indie games, because indie games should always be talked more about.
Yeah.
Can you recommend me some good indie games today? I saw that you were playing on the stream. You were playing Little Kitty Big City, which was very cute.
That was really
bit broken, very cute.
Yeah, I did not end up having big broken moments on it, but that is a really good game.
It's not broken, janky.
Janky.
It is janky.
That is part of the good vibes of indie games.
Yes. I was comparing it to things like A Short Hike, which is very sort of similar
So-
in mood, but is completely non-janky.
Yeah.
It's a very tight gaming experience. And Little Kitty, Big City was fantastic, but tight isn't the word I'd use.
Botany Manor. I'm reviewing
Ooh.
Botany Manor now for accessibility. But like, if you want a game that takes you like 5 hours, maybe that is just like a chill pill in a game, that is like a really, really amazing game. Botany Manor was like you ended up playing as a botanist, and you just go around and try to figure out how to make your plants in your house bloom.
That is sort of one of the new generation of Mist-likes in a sense.
Yeah, or
It is
sort
a
of.
first person going through
Yeah.
a small area and solving
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. I would highly recommend, but I don't think it is. But it started out as an indie game, but Subnautica.
Yeah.
That started out as, but I wouldn't maybe call it an indie game now. But Subnautica, if you want horror, but like not Resident Evil horror, Subnautica is just amazing.
I've played that a little bit, but survival games are sort of like 50-50 whether I grasped them or not. And I couldn't quite come to terms.
Yeah, some people say
with it.
Slime Rancher. I like that game, but I get massive motion sickness. I can't play it. The motion sickness is one of those things you should never push. I know that is like one of the things in accessibility. Never push motion sickness. If you start feeling queasy when playing a game, either do something with it, stop, do something like fresh air and glass of water and all that jazz, and then try to like reset things in the settings. But I can't play that game without getting queasy. And so I'm not going to I can't play that game. But then you have Rimworld. We play that.
No, but that is a brainy game for smart people. Not for me.
Yes, it's management.
Yeah.
Game. You don't like those?
I want to like them.
Yeah.
So I have this thing where I do listen to quite a good bunch of gaming podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the gaming podcasts I most like listening to is Three Moves Ahead, which talks only about strategy gaming, or only about games that I will never play.
Yeah, I have the same with my most, I think, unpopular opinion is that I really, really don't like D&D games. And it's just like people are just like, oh, can't you play Baldur's Gate? And I'm just like, I want to like them. I really, 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 really want to like them because people seem to have so much fun. And then I started myself, and I'm just like, I get what do you call when you have too many choice paralyzed. Yeah.
I don't mind the choices, but I helped kickstart Divinity Original Sin 1.
Ooh.
And I've started that game so many times, and I've started Divinity 2, Original Sin 2 so many times, but at some point the turn-based combat is just too difficult.
Yeah.
I can do Fire Emblem, but I can't do Divinity.
Fire Emblem is fun. Yeah. And also I'm a huge like Stardew Valley player.
Ooh,
yeah, I like those chill, the calmness that games give you, because like I can understand people who like to sort of have games of like but you're ahead to the wall kind of attitude with games, but that is just not me. So I just like prefer games like I played, but that isn't indie though, but Grounded. That is
Grounded was brilliant.
Yeah, really, really good game.
And Obsidian is a very good.
Yeah, I like them. They seem to have a good attitude studio in their right, so that's nice.
And for a little while, it seemed like Microsoft could be a decent company, letting small studios do their own thing.
Yeah.
And then they just shut a bunch of them down because they made brilliant games.
Yeah. I don't understand it. Like the Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush was so good.
It was so good. So the game is good. It's sort of like how I look at Elden Ring. It's a good game, but it's just not a game for me. I have a lot of those games, which is so weird because I want to. I work in the game industry, but I'm so finicky with what game I actually like.
Mm.
I'm not I can play. I don't have a genre necessarily. I can find games I like in every genre, but it isn't a lot of games I end up like completing 100%.
I didn't complete Hi-Fi Rush.
No.
I absolutely loved it, and then at some point, no.
It just ends up being like, man, Minecraft is actually, I love Minecraft. It's just at some point I need mods, because if it's just basic vanilla Minecraft, it's just too empty.
I have a not a server, but the paid the realm.
Yeah.
Together with my kids, but we need to play it more.
Yeah.
So
and
now we're just giving subsidies to Microsoft for not playing the realm. For Microsoft, they need the dollars.
Oh no. I'm thinking that is one of the annoying thing with having my disability, is that when I'm trying to find things, like you said, like find games, I sort of freeze up. I'm a big note taker. I need to have all my thoughts down on notes, because I need things to trigger my mind to work. So just figuring out things from thin air can be really, really hard for me. So that is why whenever I see chat say the game, I go like, oh yeah, I'll play that. I play that. But just like remembering that I've played something, really, really, really hard.
There are so many games where I've been like, I should really play this. Old school games, retro games, and then I play it for a few hours, and I go, oh wait, I played this before.
I don't know if that is maybe just because we're getting older.
Oh yeah.
I think one of the things I love most with gaming is because, okay, so we all know that gaming community is like sometimes one of the worst people alive, but also some of the best people alive. I think the thing that I just don't play first-person shooters, so I don't go into those kind of places where people yell slurs at you and are really, really mean. Since I am like sort of a cozy gamer, like my attitude towards gaming is more like, this is a wholesome community and I'm having fun. Oh, Fallout 4 is such a good game though.
I haven't played that yet. I have played Fallout 1 and 2 and I love them. I didn't quite get into Fallout 3. I almost finished Fallout New Vegas, but my favorite series of all time is Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of the grumpy old Elder Scrolls, because my favorite game. No, Daggerfall.
Oh.
And for me, I like every Elder Scrolls game, but for me, it's been steady downhill since Daggerfall.
Yeah.
And
it's the same with like, I don't think Fallout 4 is good if you have fond memories of the earlier games. Because Fallout 4 was one of the first games. Again, I think I get skewed of like when I play a game on stream, it's sort of the vibes of the stream. I have an amazing community, like really, really good community. So when I play games with them, a shitty game ends up being a fun game because I play with them.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Bethesda makes shitty games.
No,
I liked Star Citizen. I haven't. I mean, Elder Scrolls is my favorite series. I've never completed a single Elder Scrolls game.
I don't think I've done it.
But I've played so many hours of all of them.
Yeah, Skyrim.
Yeah, and I've played the opening there too many times, and trying out the different mobs and everything like that. But and I do think there's a value in what they're attempting to do. I mean, for instance, in Starfield.
Starfield, yeah.
there is a lot of, it's the least janky of their games, but there is a lot of jank in there still. But there is a value to going into world and knowing that you can't use this coffee mug for anything, but if you leave it on the floor, it'll be on the floor forever. And that type of game design makes the game janky forever. But I do enjoy it. There is something there, but finishing it, nah.
Nah, I think I never finished Skyrim as well. I've just like I come to some point and then I go, I'm a bit bored, and then next time I come to it, I want to start a new game because I have a new idea for a character.
Yeah. So what I do in Skyrim is I start a new game, and then I do some of the guilds, some of the stuff, and then I think, hey, I never play wizards, so why don't I do the mages guild for the first time? And then I get halfway through the mages guild quest, and then I remember, oh damn, I've already done this 3 times.
Yeah, I'm a rogue. Sneaky, stabby.
Sneaky, stabby.
Or arrow. That is what I do all the time.
That is my biggest letdown with Skyrim, is that they removed acrobatics. So because my playstyle earlier was sneaky, stabby, arrow, jumpy.
Yeah.
And then jump gets completely broken because you start jumping, so you just jump all over the place and run all over the place. And the thing where the basic movement patterns change during the game is one of the things that made Morrowind and Daggerfall and Oblivion so fun.
Yeah.
And so Skyrim takes that away, and it broke my heart because I want to jumpy down the mounty.
I want to play Morrowind on Oblivion, but I can't get over how ugly it looks today, and it's too bad though. I wish they would remake one of those games because they are good games, and I just want to see them. I just want to try, but yeah, I can't. At some point, I can get. I think has to do with what kind of games did you play growing up, because like when it comes to Spyro and Crash, I am okay with that kind of janky graphics, but I'm just like, well, that feels like something I'm familiar with, so I'm okay with it. But then it comes Morrowind and Oblivion, and I'm just like, no, I can't deal with it.
There is a special kind of ugliness to the first generation of PC game makers trying to make console games and not really knowing how they work. But we'll get to the nostalgia era for that as well.
And now it's like the year of the remakes, though. So who knows? Maybe we will get a lot of remakes.
Probably.
To be honest, I hope it. I know it's like some people really, really hate when you do remakes, but I like it because it adds a lot of accessibility. It makes games be, as I told with Tomba earlier, like now I can finally play the game again, because when it comes to PlayStation 5, I can finally start playing with my feet with that game, which is like now I can finally play them again.
And very importantly, it doesn't impact the original. It's to no loss of that. But of course, we do need. One of the reasons why I take my anti-copyright stance is because there's so much great cultural content that gets lost because there's no profit in making it available, and the only ones keeping it up to date with gaming, the only ones keeping up a lot of games up to date and playable are those who pirate them. And
I saw I worked sometimes, or I have worked sometimes with a company called Super Rare Games, I think it's called, and they like make indie games onto cartridges for the Switch, so you can play it still on Switch and also on other consoles as well. And it's part of like when you have a physical copy, because there are games that are lost in forever. We will never ever be able to get them again. And I realized that the other day, that like I had some games from my childhood where I can't find them. They're not available. And I talked to some retro stands when I was like traveling, and they were just like, no, these games are lost. They will never ever be able to see them again. They are lost in the world of nothingness, and that feels weird.
Mm.
But I think maybe is this something that is just weird for our generation? Because like the older generation was used to that. Memory is just being that.
Yeah, but there is. I think there is something very weird and new that has happened because of copyright
Yeah.
law, and that is in all art forms. They used to be something that were developed culturally, so they were a common good, and you told stories and you told them slightly differently and made them your own. You sang songs and you sang them slightly differently.
Yeah, you made your own twist for them.
Yeah, so folk art was the main form of art in a sense through all of history, and with copyright, it is basically illegal to make folk art because anything is automatically copyrighted.
Yeah.
Which means you can't just change a few words of a song or change a few things in the story. And in gaming, you can't just release your own updated version.
No.
And so it takes the collective ownership of the art itself, of the stories itself, the fact that you can bring it on and you can leave your own imprint on it. It takes that away, and then it instead replaces it with this drive to always make something new.
Yeah.
Which is 90% of all the new stuff is a blatant ripoff of something else. It would be plagiarism, but it isn't, because people know how to legally get away with plagiarism.
Yeah.
They know exactly how much they need to change. So copyright, in a weird way, it kills the folk art and the collective making of art, and then it replaces it with plagiarism, and then it also makes it so that a lot of old movies, music, and games just disappear because they are the code, or the originals are just rotting away at a storehouse, and there's no incentive to use it. And if someone tries to use it, then the owner will say, "Hey, yeah, but we need our money."
We need our money. That's the good thing with games, though, for games that open up for modding. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Modding is sort of like is a protest, and it's a help, and it's really, really cool. I saw like Final Fantasy 9 when I streamed that. I streamed with a mod that is just an so they sort of have remade the game, but it's through modding they remade the game. That was really, really cool. Like they made a HD mod, and there was like, actually, I think, but don't quote me on it, but I think it was people who have worked on the original game worked on this mod as well, so that they could have the like fantasy of this, how they envisioned the game in their head when drawing it and making it. They could actually add it to it, because we now have the ability and enough pixels to do it. And that was really, really cool. Modding is extremely cool.
And that is one of the exciting things with gaming, and also you have it with fan fiction and stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that people voluntarily use their time and energy and creativity on making these old things available, making sequels, making new versions, and sometimes breaking the law in order to pay homage to what they like.
Yeah.
And it's like with Nintendo whenever there's a new Metroid remake, fan remake, this isn't a good thing about Nintendo, but it's a slightly less bad thing than it could have been, and that is whenever there is a new Metroid remake, they wait until it's released until they send the cease and desist.
Yeah.
Because then the sort of finished version of that is out.
Yeah.
So even the very copyright sensitive Nintendo lawyers understand that wait until it's the 1.0 is released and then you take it down, because it is some of the Nintendo fan remakes are better than their own remakes.
I remember the big argument that came out with Pal World came out, and people thought that like Nintendo would stop them, and it's just like I think a lot of people don't understand copyright law.
I think no one understands.
No, that's true.
Because it is specifically created to be overly complicated.
Yeah, but like I think people just thought that there were going to be a lot more. Nintendo would be a lot more angrier than what they would be. I don't think. I don't think actually Nintendo cared about Palworld at all. I think Nintendo just saw it and went,
yeah.
Like, because it's so far away from what they actually do. And
but that is also a very clear example of something that is so obviously plagiarism.
Yeah.
There is no doubt in any way that it's plagiarism except the legal way, where it's not. And that's a very weird. It's a very weird cultural atmosphere to create, where you allow that, but you disallow Metroid remake.
Yeah. I think like the games I'm mostly looking forward to coming forward, I think it is a lot of remakes I'm looking forward to. Of course, Tomba, like my favorite game from childhood, is coming.
I will look into Tomba.
Yeah, you have to do that. And I think also, oh, my brain is freezing, but that was okay. There is a lot of like wholesome games coming out. When you talked about wholesome game, I think one of the games I enjoy that I played like last year was called Chia. And the reason, that game I really, really enjoyed for the chatters who hasn't like played Chia. So Chia is a game from made from a development studio that is in New Caledonia, which is an island that is colonized. And the game talks a lot about it's about you follow this little girl and how when she goes into town, she's not allowed to use her language. And it just is such a beautiful way of talking about really, really hard topics. And highly recommend that game for a lot of people. And it's also cool for once having a game that it's either in the one of the languages, I can't remember what it's called, or French. You can't get it in English. And that was like talking about like when the same with Elden Ring, saying like there should never be more than one difficulty. I think this is an accessibility barrier they decided to do, which is like this game is only coming in these languages because it's so important for the story to not be able to play it in English.
And before we went live, we were discussing whether we should go live on TikTok or YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's good that we went live on YouTube, because if we had gone live on TikTok, then they couldn't watch it in New Caledonia, because the French, there have been riots there, and the French government banned TikTok.
No.
Because TikTok is more than the other apps, it is a way of organizing and of spreading these news and spreading direct, real-time what's happening in places. And when governments, the US is discussing banning TikTok, and they probably, I don't know what's
I
happened,
don't know.
but all the European countries are like, okay, yeah, you do that, because it is it's not because it's a spy app, because YouTube is a spy app,
Everything you do online.
Facebook, they all spy,
Yeah.
but a it is a speech platform that the Western governments can't influence in the same
Yep.
way, which makes it so important now when bringing news about Palestine.
Yes.
And without people specifically on TikTok spreading news about Palestine, we wouldn't have this massive support
Yeah.
that we have. And this is
I think it's really cool. I like that power of social media. I've always enjoyed social media. And I know it's so easy for people to go like, but social media, it's just bad. And it's just like, no, it's actually a lot of good things with social media. Spreading of news, being able to like reach out, especially I think maybe that's because I'm part of a minority in the fact that the disability community, the fact that we can spread information and learn by each other, we couldn't have done that with more traditional ways because they won't let us. I'm not going to say they won't let us talk, they will, but like since we are such a niche way, they wouldn't be interested because of capitalism to let us speak. And when you have places like TikTok or, well, say Twitter, for that sake, you can actually talk about this and reach people understanding things. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. The only thing that isn't cool with social media is sort of, well, except for
There's a lot of
addictive,
things now. Yeah, there's a lot of things that's
the
cool.
main thing is that it is proprietary software, so you can't, if a company does a bad job with their social media, you can't just take, you don't have the choice to go anywhere else because you are invested in that proprietary software, and they are allowed to own your personal information as if it was intellectual property.
Yeah, you saw what Instagram did now?
Yeah.
Yeah, like things like that, like that, and then you can't just like opt out. So yeah, of course, like it 100%. Don't take me wrong. There is a lot of wrong things with it.
But these are one of my anti-copyright point is that these are actually things that you could legally change even within a capitalist system. You could legally make a few changes to intellectual property that would make the kind of predatory social media we have today impossible and make it a little bit better, and they would find new predatory practices. But it could, within our current system, actually work. But we have gone all the way from disability to gaming to fixing all the world problems.
Yeah.
So, and I think this portrait is as good as it will be on this live. So, do you want to see the original and not just
just
and you can say if I need to improve anything? Or
I really like my eyes because, as I said earlier, I can. Oh, you guys can't see. Hey. I really like my eyes because I can actually see my eyes again, and I know I have a big forehead. I don't like the jawline. I'm just like, oh, but my eyes and my, like, I can see myself, which is really fascinating because it's just like,
which are you seeing as the jawline? Is it this or is it the one?
No, I see it like here, the jawline going here.
Yeah.
So that I don't see in myself, but like the lips, the pointiness of the nose, the eyes, I have these sad puppy eyes, and I like that, and like my eyebrows, and I see, but this is flattering, but it's also scary because I see myself here. And that is scary in both ways, to be human about it. This is also scary because you can't hide.
I just want to point out the thing I'm most satisfied with is that eye.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a good eye.
Yeah. And I think I have sad eyes, but I have really, really kind eyes. And that is like the soul of me. And I think that is portraying me quite nice. And I like that.
I'll sit down and try to tweak the jawline a little bit. This is the first time I take sort of criticism live on a drawing, on a portrait to fix it. But we can see if it's possible. But I don't know quite what I need to do with it because I can't make it softer. I think it looks like it goes up there while it needs to go more out there, maybe.
I think also I think getting your picture painted in your style is really, really scary.
Yes.
Because you don't like, I see both the things I really enjoy with myself and the things that I hate with myself in your painting about myself.
Yeah, but I think what I'll try to do is this little field of light down here, I'll just take that into dark so we sort of get more, shape your face and hope that will work.
I
think that worked. I think that worked instantly.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
So portraits are better when the victim gets to critique it.
This is scary, but also because it's really real. This is actually a bit scary, but it's so weird because I see my eyes and my eyebrows, absolutely my lips and my teeth. I have like these, like I can see my teeth a bit. And it's so, what is also really, really scary is that I see my grandparents and my mom in this. That I think is really, really scary as well.
I think
that is weird. I have some family members that I look alike like, but they are sadly passed away. That is a bit weird to see. I can see them in the portrait.
I'm very, what you are saying makes me very happy. And I think this one was good and it captures something.
Yeah. How old am I? Ma'am. Call me ma'am. I feel like quite old. I'm 31, 30, 31, something, 32.
I'm on the stream as well. Where's, there, yeah.
There.
Yep, I figured it out.
But I think one of the things with your style that is scary is that because I see somebody say she's prettier in real life, but you don't paint pretty, you paint human.
I don't paint pretty, and I also very seldomly paint feminine.
Yeah.
Yes. All my females look very masculine.
Yeah.
And that's a me problem.
I think that is funny though, because I've always said like something I've always said is like, I look like my mom, but the two things I got from my dad was my jawline and my boobs because they're non-existent. But like I see that because I see you when I see my mom in my eyes, I see my dad here in this, and that's cool. I also think it is also because I have quite full hair when it like cuts out your hair, like the whiteness here can make it looks a bit, but I think it's cool. It's so weird to be able to see yourself like this.
I appreciate this very much, and I'm not satisfied with many of my portraits, but this has something. I like this one.
Okay, so but no, it's a bit hard for people to see, but the eyes are so me. The eyes are so me.
Let's
yeah, it is hard, but like that, those are the eyes I wake up with. Like still, I feel like some part of the painting I don't see myself, but the eyes I do.
Yeah.
And that is like, yeah.
Okay, I
Thank
think
you.
we will say goodbye to
Yeah.
people. Where should people go and follow you?
Arabia everywhere.
Yeah, and what's your most used platform?
My most used platform are Twitter and TikTok, but TikTok and Instagram I do the same, and Twitch. And I will do more if you're interested in more like accessibility and disability work. YouTube is the way to follow in there because then you will see like more long form content about it. But TikTok and Instagram and Twitch, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, bye bye everyone, and this was so fun.
Yeah.
So
See ya, guys.